name is Phil Handy, assistant coach for the Los Angeles Lakers. Glad to be here in Melbourne.
Yeah. You know that this right here. And there will be no surrender. Now allow me to reintroduce myself. They call me J.O.
I travel all over. You know, I've been fortunate enough to play all over Europe. Basketball has been one of those things that's taken me all over the globe. Any place they have a basketball court and they have basketballs, Phil Handy will go.
All right, welcome to the IYF Online World Camp. This is the IYF Leadership Speaker Series. I'm your host today, Dan, and we have with us a very special guest straight from the NBA. He's developed the best basketball players in the world, including LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, Kyrie Irving, and the late, great Kobe Bryant. It is my absolute honor to welcome the assistant coach of the Los Angeles Lakers and two-time world champion, Phil Handy.
I appreciate that. Nice intro, Daniel. Appreciate the intro, man. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys.
Of course. It's such a pleasure to have you. And I gotta, I name dropped a couple of famous names, and I want to open by asking you, like, what is it like coaching and developing and mentoring the best athletes in the world?
I think it's a tremendous blessing to be in that position and have been in this position for years to work with some of these elite level athletes. I think it's, for me, Daniel, it's just a real snapshot of my journey. Whenever I look back on how it started and where it started and where it's progressed to now, it's an amazing journey for me to look back to, again, how this came to life and to be able to stand next to some of the greatest players to ever play and build real relationships with them. It's been a phenomenal thing to experience. And, more than anything, just, I tell people all the time, it's the relationships are real because they've been built from what we do on the basketball court. And that's where they've all started. And they've evolved into very organic relationships that are bigger than basketball. And it's been a tremendous blessing and opportunity for me to be where I am. And I think I let people know on a daily basis that I try not to take any of it for granted. I try to wake up every day with a sense of humility and appreciate, gratefulness for where I am. And I think that's what keeps me going every day. And, as you get to know these guys, they're normal. They're just like, a lot of the kids that are at this camp, same, just a little bit older and maybe a little bit more money in their pockets. But they're human, just like everybody else. They have a great sense of humor. They like to laugh. They like to joke. These guys have families. And there's a real human element to these individuals that, a lot of people may not get to see on a daily basis.
Yeah, let me double click on that a little bit. Why do you feel teamwork is so important to life? Because, it might be an obvious question, but, we're kind of trained from a young age to look out for ourselves and get ahead of ourselves, even if that means stepping on somebody else. That's sort of the way the world teaches us. Why do you think teamwork is so equivalent to what life's all about?
Yeah, because I believe that the way the world teaches us is wrong. It's absolutely incorrect. We can't do anything in life without the help of others and without the support of others, and vice versa. And I believe that through sports teaches you a lot on how to build relationships, how to work with others, because there's no part of this life that you go through and you do things by yourself. Even myself, for example, I did not get where I am today by myself alone. I had to put in the work, but I had a lot of support behind me. My wife is probably my biggest teammate in terms of sacrificing and allowing me years ago to step away from, having a normal job and decided to open a training business and train kids. And because of her support and because of her guidance, and I was able to be able to step into this arena and build this platform. And if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be sitting here today. And that's a part of teamwork. I think teamwork comes in many forms of life. Even in your families, you build relationships with your parents, your siblings, and everybody has to work together. A family is very resemblant of a team. Us with the Lakers here, we spend a lot of time together every day. And so you essentially become like family because you spend so much time together. You're going to have bad days. You're not going to like each other some days. You're not going to always agree. But what you come back to is, what is the purpose of why we're here? We're all moving in the same direction and trying to win a championship from a basketball standpoint. And what's the purpose with your family? Every day you want to grow, you want to learn, you want to be successful in life. And I tell people all the time that teamwork, man, in the essence of team, LeBron cannot do it without his teammates. Coach Vogel can't do it without the support of his staff, and so on and so forth. And so, the best player needs, I don't want to call it the weakest player, but the best player needs the last man on the team to pull his weight every day. Everybody has a role. There's something that we all have to do in order for the team to be successful. And so I think it's really important for people to understand that, you can't go through life thinking that you're going to be able to do, wonderful things by yourself. You're going to need the support of others. And then on the flip side of that, you're going to need to support others. Others need our support as well. So it's a two-sided coin with the teamwork element, and that people need each other, in order to draw experiences. You need your teammates sometimes to hold you accountable, right? Tell you what you're doing wrong. And at the same time, sometimes you need a pat on your back for doing good things. I think these things go hand in hand, and a lot of times people are not really aware of how important they are. And then as you build structure and team, you build trust as well, right? And you talked about stepping on someone else's back in order to be successful. And I think that's the absolute wrong way to live life. If you want to build success, I've always believed that, one, you put in the work, and two, you stay in your lane, right? And you build whatever you're building without stepping on someone else's neck or without putting someone else down. And I've always believed that, as a teammate, it's my responsibility to help my teammates get better. And it's my responsibility to hold my teammates accountable. And I'm going to expect the same from them as well.
That's really beautiful. I really appreciate that answer. And I also want to double click on being a coach. I consider you, especially after reviewing your bio and really looking into you, one of the best coaches in the world. And, the head coaches get all the glory. They get the podium time. I get that. But you've been behind the best players. What is your mindset going into coaching? I'm sure there's nuances every day as attitudes allow, but what is that overarching mindset you bring to the court every day for your players?
Well, I feel like as a coach, I have a responsibility. As coaches, we have a responsibility. And so I'll start with my job. My job is to be a soldier for my head coach. Whatever responsibilities my head coach lays out for me, that is my responsibility to tackle that with the fullest of energy. All right. I've always felt like in order for head coaches to be successful, the assistant coaches have to be willing to go above and beyond and carry out whatever duties he requires of us. That's our job, to assist him, to aid him, and to be a support system for him to be successful. That's the part of the job that a lot of people might overlook. I think that my responsibility is to give my best to the players every day, right? We want players and athletes to run through a wall for us, right? In order for them to do that, I have to show up and do my best every day for them. And again, I really believe that it's about building relationships. Coaches are, yes, we set the table, but the athletes have to do the work. And so in order for the athletes to do the work, I think we have to set the table properly. And so I have to come with the right frame of mind every day to give good energy to the players. And again, it's not always easy. Some days I don't want to. Some days physically and mentally, it's a challenge. But I've always believed as a coach, I have to coach every day, no matter the level of the athlete, no matter if it's LeBron James or no matter if it's the 15th man on the roster. They have to be coached. And, once I learned that even the greatest athletes in the world want to be coached, they want instruction, they want guidance, that made my job a lot easier, right? Instead of thinking it the other way, hey, that's LeBron. He knows everything. He doesn't want to be coached. No, that's not accurate. They want to be coached. They want to be pushed. They want to be challenged every day. And I think the biggest thing that I've learned from them, and again, as a coach, I learn a ton from the players that I'm around every day because they force me and they push me to be a better coach because of the standard that they want to be at. It's a challenge for me as well to raise my energy and to raise my basketball, knowledge as well. So for me, coaching is, it comes with a lot of responsibility. Coaching is like serving. We are servants. As a coach, I'm serving the greater needs of someone else to help them improve and further their life in other areas. We are serving others, and it takes a lot. It takes a lot of us to be willing to be in that position in order for somebody else to be successful. And so I think for me, it's work of passion. I love what I do. I love it every day, being able to help athletes, raise their level of play to where they can continue to, advance their careers and take care of their family. So I just think simplifying coaching for me has been about serving the players, and then also being the best soldier I can be for my head coach.
Is that how you approach life as a servant?
Pretty much, man. I think, you talked about the teamwork element. I think when we are able to really impact other people's lives and help somebody else advance their life, it's going to come back to us in some way or another. And I just don't think there's enough people in the world that want to see other people succeed. Right. And so for me, man, I'm trying to help anyone and everyone succeed at whatever they're doing. I want to inspire people. Coaching is about inspiring as well. It's about motivating, and so, there are some times where you just run up against bad coaches. They're takers instead of givers. And I think that's sometimes where you see, athletes have a bad experience. And I've said this for many years, youth coaches are the most important coaches on the face of the earth.
Wow.
More important than an NBA coach, more important than a college basketball coach. And here's why. Youth coaches are the first coach that a lot of kids see.
Right.
That's the first coach that they see. And so whatever this youth coach imparts on these young minds, it shapes them. Right. There's either one of two things that they do. We either make this a positive experience for them and they're inspired and they want to learn and they want to grow and they're motivated, or we make it a negative experience for them and they want to quit. Right. These things are really important. And that's why youth coaches are so important on what happens with young minds. I tell people this all the time. I'm always encouraging youth coaches to one, understand your position, right? Yes, we're in a position of instruction, criticism, but that doesn't have to be in a negative form at all times. And we also have to understand that the way we handle young kids, again, it's going to shape their future in some kind of way. So that the impact that we have on the youth is really important. Youth coaches have a huge responsibility. And I believe that, coaches at that level, it's important for them to understand, one, why they're doing it, and two, what's the impact behind it. Right. Because, some kids can walk away with a really bad experience and, they may be unmotivated for a very long time. And so that's a huge responsibility that I take in terms of just, giving to someone else, giving energy to someone else, inspiring someone else to really try to push themselves to do great things in life, because I think it's upon all of us that we can, and that's part of one of my brands that I started, Be Your Own GOAT. It's part of coaching for me. and just trying to push people to do great things in their own life.
Right. I kind of want to shift a little bit of a gear and talk about some of the practical experiences that you've had over the years. And I'm wondering, you don't have to name any names, but was there a certain player or moment with a player that was so difficult to surmount, but you got through it and you were able to get through and get them to the next level? What was that experience like? Can you walk us through dealing with someone who maybe can't break a certain barrier and helping them get over that? What did that take to do that, if anything comes to mind?
Yeah, man, Dan, I've had a lot. There's coaching has not always been the perfect thing, and in a lot of ways, sometimes as coaches, we're also psychologists. It's not just always about X's and O's. We're life coaches, we're mentors, we're big brothers. Sometimes we're father figures. There comes a lot of responsibility with that and that as well. And I think as a coach, it's all about building real relationships. I've always found that is one way that I've always been able to help players get through barriers. And what does that mean? It means that as we build this relationship that starts with basketball, you start to understand and learn about your athletes. What are they like off the court? What's their family like? What's their personal life? So it becomes more than just basketball, because again, they are human. They are people. And we have to understand that they have feelings, emotions, they have ups and downs, just like we all do. I think a lot of times people put these supreme athletes in this category and say they're not human, they're superhuman. They never have bad days, or they never have problems. And they're just like the rest of us, to where when we understand that they are human and that they're not perfect, then we can build relationships and help them understand, look, one, as a coach, my main focus is only to help you become better as a basketball player. And then the trust, when they understand that, the trust comes in. They trust you, and they let the walls down, and where you can, again, build a relationship. And so at that point, sometimes athletes have stumbling blocks. They have things that stop them from being successful. They have different roadblocks. And as a coach, sometimes we have to be there just to listen or take notice and say, you know what, today is not about basketball. What's going on in your life? How are you doing? How's your family? How's your son? How's your wife? How's your father? Sometimes you have to shift gears and go into that mode and really talk about things that don't have anything to do with basketball. And once you're able to build those relationships, then I think you can help them in any areas of life, because they trust you. I think building trust is really important. I had Kyrie Irving was a really young talent when I first got to Cleveland. And, here's a young kid who came into the NBA after playing, 10 college games. He was the number one pick in the draft. And, this kid had placed on his shoulders, the organization had said, hey, here, we need you to lead us. We need you to help us get back to what we used to be before LeBron left. That's a heavy burden. That's a heavy burden for a young athlete like that, and whether he is prepared for it or not. So here's this kid who's mentally trying to navigate this, trying to figure out, well, how do I take on this responsibility? How do I lead this organization? How do I take the criticism that comes from the media and all these pieces as being the number one pick and I'm supposed to save this organization? He had some pretty dark days, some pretty rough days mentally. And to be there with him and to try to help him through those things, they weren't easy, but it was one of those things where you just have to stand in the box and you have to go through the rough times with this athlete to help them come out on the other side. And we had many nights, man, where we were in the gym until 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and Kyrie just trying to get his frustrations out through his work. And I've always felt like, hey, man, if you're frustrated, the basketball court has kind of been a sanctuary. It's a place of peace, right? You go, you can kind of forget about the world. You kind of let out some energy, just like people go to the gym and they hit a punching bag. You're trying to let your frustrations out. For us, the basketball court is that place where we kind of, release our frustrations and work through some things that are challenging us. And it's therapeutic. Just like I said earlier, it's a place of therapy. So, I've had a lot of those experiences, Daniel, and I've always just tried to one, listen and understand what the athletes are going through. And then wherever I see that I can input some advice and different things to help them get through it, I always try my best to be impartial and honest. Honesty is always important to athletes as well.
I think it's so interesting because that you say that you have a image of high school coaches and college coaches. They're second fathers, they're big brothers. But then when you get to the NBA level, it just feels like all business. So it's really interesting to see that you still maintain that kind of relationship. I wasn't aware that it was that deep at that level.
I think that's one of the things that's helped me be successful, is that I've been able to build genuine and real relationships with these athletes. And it's not just about basketball. Yeah, we're in a business. The NBA is a corporation. It is a business. So, man, they get enough of that. They get enough of that of being in the business. And I think they appreciate it. And I appreciate it as well when I'm able to build, authentic relationships with these guys that go way beyond what we do on the court.
Right. So I'm going to play a little game with you for a couple of minutes. It's not a hard game. I want you to respond to these statements. And these are statements that we really believe here at International Youth Fellowship. So number one, there is a fruit called durian, and it looks like a spiky armadillo, and it originates from Vietnam. And you have to open it with like a hammer and a screwdriver. It's so tough. And when you open it, oh my God, it's so stinky. It's like someone went to the bathroom and didn't flush the toilet. And they call it smell of hell, taste of heaven. And, when you first eat it, it's really disgusting. But after you eat it 3 or 4 times, you acquire a taste for it. And it becomes addicting. It's kind of like kimchi or, a certain kind of pickle. At first you don't like it, and then you slowly can't live without it. It's like an acquired taste. And we equate that with people. Just because a person is not your smell or your flavor, if you only give that person one try, you're always not going to be satisfied. It's about that 3rd, 4th, and 5th try with the person where you really get to understand who they are and their flavor. Can you speak to that in terms of basketball, in terms of your own life? Does that ring true for you?
Oh man, that's 100%. I think every person on this earth has layers. Like you said, you talked about that fruit. A lot of people have tough outer shells, right? That's very similar to how you view people. Sometimes people's demeanor are like that on purpose because they don't want people to see how soft or how genuine they are on the inside. And so I think you always, that old saying of don't judge a book by its cover. Until you actually open the book and flip through the pages and read some of the pages, you'll never understand what the content is about. And I think people are exactly the same, especially in our business, man. I think sometimes there's misconceptions about players. You might have a lot of negative stuff that goes to a player in the media, and you might end up eventually coaching that player. So I've always felt like with players like that, look, I'm not going to listen to what the media has said about this kid. I'm going to get to know them myself. I want to build my own relationship with them. And again, peel back the layers. I want to see who this person is. I want to give them an opportunity to build a relationship with me, because I believe if I judge this kid off of what I've heard or what I've read, then I've already lost him. So it's really important to build. Again, it goes back to relationships. Give somebody an opportunity to show you who they are. And again, you said it right on the head. I think sometimes, you may not like a person until you actually get a chance to get to know them. And that has rung true for me a lot of times in this industry, working with different people that I've never met, but you always hear different things. And until you actually give that person an opportunity to show you who they are, you could miss out on a lot. And I've always believed, man, that is so true. Just giving people an opportunity to show you who they are. And again, that means that we have to keep an open mind. And it's just like for us, I know people have probably heard different things about me, good, bad, and indifferent. And I think until you actually spend time with me and get to know me, then you really won't know who Phil Handy is. And I think that just rings true for all of us when we get an opportunity to work with new people and meet new people. Well, we should keep an open mind and judge people for how they are with us, not with how you heard they are with someone else. Whether, even if they've done wrongdoing, I still think that, dealing with people on a very open surface is good for relationships.
Right. Okay, here's another one. Electricity flows through wires, water flows through pipes. Trust and happiness flows from one person's heart to another person's heart. And that's the only way we can achieve joy and happiness. How do you feel about that statement? And why do you feel a heart-to-heart relationship with someone is probably the most important thing to have instead of something at this level like you're talking about?
Yeah, I think we feel people's energy. I talk about energy all the time. I think you can feel when someone has a positive and a negative energy, right? And I think that means purity of heart. I think if you're dealing with someone and they don't have an agenda of any kind, right? They solely just want to get to know you, or they solely want to see you succeed. They want to build you can feel that. You can feel when someone has an agenda. They want to use you for whatever reason, or they have something that they want to get from you. You can feel these things from people, and I've always felt like when you meet somebody that has a pure heart, it's easy to reciprocate that. And I think I've always tried to come with a pure heart anyway, no matter what the other person's energy is. And so when you do deal with people that have the same purity of mind and spirit, it's an awesome connection. And like you said, it is electric. There's an energy that goes between those two people that you just can't explain. And I think it's, the opposite as well. When it's not electric, you can also feel that energy. And I think people don't pay attention to that enough. There's something's off. Your spirit, man, our spirits tell us a lot, in terms of someone, and you meet them and you talk with them. And I've learned to listen to that. When I feel something about someone's spirit that's not right, there's one or two things I can do. I can decide to try to build a relationship with that person and maybe help them, or I can decide to say, you know what, I don't want that energy in my life. I'm gonna go the opposite direction. But again, that goes back to trying to give people the benefit of the doubt, right? And understanding. And again, I've always tried to just keep an open mind when building new relationships, and just take people for face value. And when you find that purity of heart, man, and you connect with somebody, I think it's one of the most awesome things in life that you can experience.
Amen. No, I totally agree, and I appreciate that. I kind of want to ask you about thoughts. And young people, they struggle with lots of different thoughts, and it leads them to a lot of destructive behavior, whether they become depressed or isolated. Sometimes they have suicidal thoughts. Sometimes they feel like they're all by themselves. I mean, to you, what would you identify as one of the most self-destructive thoughts one could have? That a thought that we should be wary of and proactive in avoiding, that one self-destructive thought?
The I can't mentality is I think that's the most destructive for all things. I can't. That is such a negative mindset. It transfers into so many areas of your life. And I believe that young kids, when they're not empowered, when they're not boosted up and given confidence and made to feel like they can do anything in life, right? And you're not giving them false hopes, but you're helping young kids understand, if you really want to try to do something, listen, there's nothing in this world that you cannot do. All things are possible. They are. All things are possible, and that is real. And it doesn't mean that you might be the most successful, you might be the most wealthy individual, but at a young age, you should never shape a young mind to say, well, you can't do this. And I think as adults, Yes, there's a reality piece to it. And I believe that starts with teaching kids how to have work ethic. Work ethic allows you the ability to do whatever you want in life. I firmly believe that when you gain an appetite to work for what you want, instead of thinking that it's just going to be given to you, you put the work in, you're willing to work, right? And no matter what capacity, I think that builds the I can attitude. And so I've always believed that the I can't mindset is the worst thing for youth, because they go through life feeling like, I won't be able to do this, I won't be able to do that. And I've always used basketball. Basketball has been the vehicle for me to help kids build work ethic. That's why, when I started my program years ago, basketball was a big piece of it, but more than that, it was about life lessons. You step on this court with me as a coach, I'm going to push you. I'm going to force you to work hard. I'm going to force you to get out of your comfort zone and do some things that you don't like. But at the end of the day, when you're done with it, you're going to say, man, I didn't realize I was able to do that. I didn't realize I was able to push myself like that. And I believe that starts that positive mindset of I can do things that maybe I didn't think were possible. As long as I'm willing to put some work in, I can do some things. So I've always tried to do away with the I can't mentality and that mindset and the negative thoughts, and just try to keep a positive mindset in everything that you're doing.
Wow. Yep. I think if we take away one message from this camp, that's definitely the thing. Really appreciate you saying that. I want to kind of dovetail into another question. This might be obvious based on what you just said, but all players have a wall. They have that, they hit the wall, baseball, they call it a slump. I hear it's a rookie wall in the NBA. And it's just where you feel like, man, I can't go any further. I'm exhausted. How do you get players to bounce back from the wall that they hit? Like, is there a specific tactic that you use or something you say or do for them?
Really, Daniel, it's not rocket science. I believe in work. I believe in putting in the work. And yeah, sometimes you're going to hit a wall mentally and physically, but I'm always trying to help athletes at this level to learn how to work smarter and not always harder, because there is such a thing as overworking. Right? You can overwork yourself physically. You can overwork yourself mentally, and that pushes you to the point of exhaustion where you want to shut down. So I'm always trying to help athletes how to build. It's a marathon, not a sprint, right? So we're always thinking long term, and again, you can teach the youth that, you want to build. My training is built on progression, right? You start from the beginning and you stack and you stack and you stack. And it's always like building Legos, right? You build your Legos one piece at a time. So I always try to head off and get in front of athletes hitting the wall, right? So we try to train in a progressional stage, and you try to build in a progressional stage to where instead of trying to run and slam into that wall, let's build up so we can climb over the wall. And it's a progressional thing. And I think that's a method that I've tried to use to help athletes before they get to that point, right? You want to try to build up to that, and to where you don't just run into the wall. And then sometimes, there still are guys that hit that wall, and then it's just a mental reset, right? Sometimes you got to take a couple steps back, say, okay, look, let me take a step back. Let's reprogram ourselves. Let's reboot. And at the same time, we still have to keep working. So a lot of time when guys hit the wall, they want to stop, right? You want to completely shut down and stop. And that's the absolute wrong thing to do. When you hit the wall, again, take a deep breath, take a step back, and then you have to recalibrate and start working again. Because if you stop working, then you're dead in the water. You absolutely have no chance. So when you do hit the wall, it's all about just, take a step back. Let's take a deep breath. Let's take a look at what's in front of us. And now let's devise a plan to attack it again and keep working and keep moving forward. And so I just, again, as much as we can, we try to avoid the wall by working smart and just building on a gradual climb instead of just trying to take off 100 miles an hour. Such things as you gotta crawl before you can walk. You gotta walk before you can run. all of those type of things. That's the way I approach my training and coaching as well.
Thank you. Yeah. And we at IYF, we really believe in the power of deep thinking. There's something called first level thoughts and second level thoughts. And these first level thoughts are these instinctual gut reactions. The second level thoughts is going to take a step back and analyze what you're actually thinking, and then reconsidering something based on that first level thought. And we believe that there are levels to thinking, and deep thinking is so important, especially for young people now. I want to ask you about that in terms of your championships. When you won your first one with Cleveland, and you've been to the finals consecutive times and winning with Cleveland and Toronto, did that change your thinking in terms of the depth of your thinking? Did your mindset shift after achieving the highest level in your sport? Can you talk about deep thinking in terms of that?
Yeah, you know what? I call it emotional reactions.
Right.
Same thing, right? For me, I had to learn as you get deeper into the NBA playoffs, and when you get to the NBA finals, you got to take the emotion out. Because if I'm always emotional as a coach, then I'm always going to have the wrong reaction. And so for me, that same thing equates to things that happen to us in life. Take the emotion out of it, because I'm a pretty emotional person. So sometimes something happens and I want to react to it. So what I've had to learn how to do is just say, okay, look, expect things to not always go right. Expect things to not always be perfect. And so you try to train yourself on a deeper level to say, take the emotion out of it, right? Don't react to things that happen in a negative space. Expect it. Expect some bad things to happen and be prepared for it, to where you can react with a clear mind and not an emotional mind. So I've always, what I've learned through the NBA finals is, again, removing the emotion from it. And again, these are some things, Danny, that I've learned from, Tyronn Lue. I learned that from LeBron James. I learned that from Kobe Bryant. In high pressure situations, you cannot be emotional, right? You can't be emotional. You have to take the emotion out so you can remain calm and your mind can work calmly, right? Because there's all these different things that happen in such a fast pace. It's easy to be emotional and just have a reaction to it. What they call it, that knee jerk, you just react. But, when you can train yourself to take the emotion out of things and just deal with what's in front of you. Let's deal with the facts. Let's deal with what's going on. Stay on point. When you can deal with those things, then you don't get sidetracked. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned. And I'm trying to have that also carry over into my personal life and my daily life, to not be emotional, stay on point with different issues. Don't get sidetracked by different things, but let's keep focused on what's in front of us.
Well, I could talk to you all day, but we're in the fourth quarter stretch right now. So just have a couple more questions for you, and then we can wrap. But I do want to get to 94 feet a game. Can you tell people quickly about what it is and why you decided to make your livelihood, right? Your life. Why did you decide to make it so accessible for people? You don't have to do that. You can keep it to yourself. But why did you decide to share your skills?
And Daniel, this is where I started in the coaching industry. 1999, 94 feet a game was born. I didn't start out as an NBA coach. I started out by training youth, middle school kids, high school kids. The NBA clientele that I had was a very small part of my business. 94 feet a game that's been the biggest passion project that I've ever had. And I ran that business for 13 years, where I was training high school kids on a daily basis, middle school kids on a daily basis. So I started with the youth. My very first client, I charged him $25, and it cost me almost $40 of gas just to drive to where he lived. So it wasn't about the money. It was about my love for the game and really wanting to impact the game of basketball. And so here I am years later as an NBA coach who's had an opportunity through my journey, to work with some of the best players to ever play and coach some of the best players to ever play. And work with some of the best coaches to ever coach. And I have all of this knowledge. There's a wealth of knowledge that I have. And some of my business partners really encouraged me years to look, man, you have so much knowledge. There's so many people in the basketball community that would love to draw from that. And even for me, Daniel, I wanted to be one of the best trainers in the game. I wanted to be able to help shape basketball and push coaching and training into another area. And so, you know, this thing, 94 Feet of Game app, has been, like I said, man, that's been the best passion project that I've ever worked on. And so all of this knowledge that I have is really just that. It's the app is there to share knowledge with coaches, trainers, players, parents, anywhere around the world. Anybody that wants to gain more knowledge and insight onto the game of basketball, how to teach it and how to become a better player. Man, I'm blessed to be in a position to share that and make it accessible to the world. And, you know, where am I going? I can't take it with me. You know, I want basketball to be a powerful sport. And so I've kind of felt like I've taken on the role and wanted to be an ambassador to the game of basketball on a global scale. And so that's where this app has come from. And it's just a tool that we're constantly working on to help provide the best basketball content that we can in terms of helping people understand how to teach the game and how to play the game.
So is this like you're continually updating the app as you go? It's not really static?
No, this is this is a huge project that we are ever growing. You know, I think the app now is what we call phase 1, where we finished the app, we put it out there, it's accessible, and now we're moving into phase 2 to where we want to make the app even more friendly, user friendly. So we're building some workout builders in the app. We're making the app a lot more simple and understandable for coaches and players and trainers and parents to understand how to use it. Hey, I want to go in. My son wants to get a 20-minute workout. We're going to make that possible to help build a 20-minute workout for an athlete, so where it takes all the thinking out. In this 20-minute workout, here's 4 or 5 drills that you can do. You know, we want to make this app so user-friendly that it's a one-stop shop. So we're putting in strength and conditioning. You know, we have an element to help people understand how to take care of your body. You know, I'm partnering with different people to bring in more athletes, male and female, youth and professional, to help people understand that this training is not just for high-level athletes. You know, I've tried to build a platform to help people understand how to train at all levels. So this is something that it's not short-term for me. This is a lifelong project that I want to continue to build. I want to continue to make better. And feedback, any of the feedback that we can get from you guys and the parents and the kids, we take it all, because again, we want to continue to make this a great product for everybody.
Hey, what a perfect app for right now when everyone's sort of cooped up and like kind of they need something. So I think it's great for parents. Can you give some quick details on how people can get it?
Absolutely. Available on all platforms. iPhone, you know, available in the Google Store for Androids, anywhere you want. 94feetofgame.com/app. Again, that's 94feetofgame.com/app. You know, it's available on all platforms. That you can get it from anywhere. We're creating a new piece that people can get online if they want it strictly on computers. But right now, you can get it on your phone and you can use drills. We use the phrase anywhere, anytime. You know, you can get to work anywhere, anytime.
Awesome. So I hope you guys definitely check that out and, you know, join Coach Phil and step up your game for sure. I guess I have one last question and one small favor to ask. My last question is, I think your parting words in terms of this speech is, what kind of mindset will allow youth to persevere and overcome their odds to achieve their dreams? I mean, you talked about it. It's been the red thread to this conversation, but if you can sort of bundle that up in like a nice bow for us, what do they need to really persevere and overcome the odds, especially these times?
You know, I think for the youth is really important. I talk about work ethic. They really don't understand what that word means. I want all of you at this camp, every kid, to understand that you all need to develop a high sense of work ethic, right? What does that mean? You can't expect anybody to give you anything. Don't expect anybody. You shouldn't want anyone to give you anything. Having the ability to draw from working for and earning what you get, it gives you so much more satisfaction on a deeper level. And so the I can mentality, the I can mindset comes from putting in the work. When you guys understand as young athletes that the work that you put in is never in vain. I don't care what happens to you in your life. What you're doing is you're building character. Okay. You're building strength from within to understand that if you want to do something in life, if you put in the work, you put your mind to it, these things are possible. And these are not, you hear this all the time. These are cliches. Whatever, anything's possible. I'm here to tell you, I'm living proof of that. Okay? I am a living, walking testimony of putting your mind to something and applying yourself, educating yourself, right? And then again, being willing to put the work in. That piece is so important. That piece is, I always tell this to young kids, be willing to work. If you're willing to work for something, then it's possible. If you're not going to work for it, you can't expect it to happen, right? Yeah. So how can I put this in layman terms for the kids? The video games that you play, right? The video games that you play, you spend countless hours mastering Fortnite and all these other games. How do you master Fortnite? You put the time in, you put the work in, you sit there and you play the game. You spend that energy. So if you can take that same energy that you would put into Fortnite and apply that to your life and other areas of your life that you want to be successful, you got it, right? You got it. That's how you can understand, well, how can I be successful? Well, the same amount of energy you put into Fortnite and other video games, put those things into your classroom, put those things into studying, put those things into other areas of your life, and you'll see some results.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. I couldn't have said it better myself. Now, the favor I'm going to ask you before you go is I'm going to have you predict the champion of the season and then why you predict that team to win. No pressure.
Man. Nah, no pressure. Daniel, look, I'm in the business to win. One thing I have learned is I cannot be sorry for the success that I've had because I want it. And I'm not saying it's never guaranteed. It's never a guarantee, but all I've ever asked for is to be in a position to compete for a championship, to coach teams that have the ability to compete for a championship. And we have that here with the Lakers. We have everything that we need to compete for a championship. And that's all I can ever ask for. So in that sense, yes, I'm looking for my 6th straight NBA finals and I'm hopeful for my 3rd NBA ring. So that's my mindset. That's why I'm here. I'm not here to lose. I'm here to try to compete and put my best foot forward and help our team be in that position. At the end, that's what I'm aiming for. That's my goal. And that's really the only reason why I'm in the coaching right now is I like winning. So I'm prepared to do whatever I can to help our team.
Well, Coach Phil, I think I speak for IYF. You're a part of the IYF family, and now you have a boatload of new fans cheering for the Lakers that may have not been before. We're so honored that you took the time out. We know how busy your schedule is, and I think it's even worse for coaches during this time because you got to get everybody together and on the same page. We really we don't take this time for granted, sir, and we are really, really appreciative of your words of wisdom, your perspective, your willingness to take all the questions, the tough ones and the easy ones. And we hope that we can stay connected with you, and we'll definitely be following your journey. I hope people download the app and they get to know you on a deeper level in terms of your skills. And please stay in touch with us. And, we promise the youth that you just mentored and coached will go on to do great things in life because they have the heart of God, they have your mindset, and they have that mindset, I can now, and I believe that.
Oh, man, I appreciate it. This is an absolute pleasure to be here with you guys and share the time and learn and grow. That's what it's about every day, learning and growing.
Coach Phil Handy, Los Angeles Lakers assistant coach. We thank him for joining the IYF Leadership Speakers at the IYF Online World Camp. Thank you.
Appreciate you guys.
Bye.